So your research essay requires a pretty strict format in terms of how you're organizing your research and how you're presenting the information. So I want to go over that in a little more detail. So just remember that you are writing an APA formatted paper. That's a convention of the genre, so we have to follow a certain rule for APA. This is the APA formatted title page, so everybody's title page should look like this in terms of format. Of course, the information would be a little different because everybody has a different topic. I just created a sample topic that's really silly and not, I probably would have a hard time finding a lot of sources for this, but I read an article somewhat recently about a woman who went on a Twitter rant saying that certain theme parks shouldn't allow people without children in because they hog the lines for those who have kids and that it wastes time and stuff like that. So I just it gave me an idea to give you a formatted sample for this lecture. So this is how your APA title page should look. Everyone's should be formatted this way. It should have the word running head right here. That's an APA rule that you write the word running head first in the heading part. And then the title of your paper is right here after running head, and it's in all capital letters. So make sure after running head that you have it in all capital letters, and that's the title of your paper. And then all the page numbers should be in the right hand corner. So page 1 is your title page, so there should be a number 1 there. And then I have just a little note that this is for your research essay, and you don't need to put that for yours. But the title of your paper goes here as well. If you have a long title, I put an example here, this is a long title, then you would shorten it right here. So if you notice, I have For the Love of Theme Parks, a discussion of appreciation. I wouldn't fit all of that in this part. So just if you have a shortened title, then the shortened title is here. If this is the same as this, that's fine. But that's just the difference there. So your full title goes here, your actual name here, and then you can put just the school, or you can put our course in there as instead if you want. I'm not too picky about that. So this is how your APA title page, everybody's APA title page should be formatted exactly like this. I provided a tutorial video. It's a really helpful video on how to do this in correct format. It's really helpful. Also on Microsoft Word, they have an APA template, which might be easier as well. And just be careful with your final drafts that nothing is pushed around, that everything is where it's supposed to be. So page 2 is the abstract. I introduced the abstract in the APA video that I have for you all on Blackboard. The abstract is the summary of your paper. So once you finish your paper, I'll kind of read what I have here. This might help. Once you finish your report, read through it. Then go to this page, page 2, and summarize what your essay is about, meaning answer these questions. What is the main idea? What 2 viewpoints did your paper focus on? What research question was asked? And I always tell students, sometimes the abstract's a little tricky, and especially if you're new to APA, if you're not quite sure what it is, it just summarizes your paper before the audience reads it, so they understand what the main idea was, what 2 viewpoints it's about, and just what research question you're trying to answer. I tell students that this might help if we were sitting in a face-to-face class and each person had to verbally share what their essay was about to everyone in class, and pretend it's your turn and you have a minute to describe your essay. What would you say? What you say is your abstract. It's you summarizing it. Or if this helps, think of it this way. If you had to describe your favorite story to somebody who didn't know it, maybe you have a favorite movie and your best friend hadn't seen it before and you're just explaining what it's about, your summary would just be about what happens, and it wouldn't be too specific. You wouldn't go into the dialogue, into certain scenes, that happen in the movie. You would just keep overall, this is what happens, this is who the main character is, this is what happens to them, this is how they resolve what happens to them, and this is how it ends. It'd be very simple and vague. So that's what you want to do for the abstract. You're just summarizing the main idea, 2 viewpoints, and research question. Keep your abstracts vague and save detail for the essay itself. Don't use sources in your abstract. Keep the sources for the actual paper. And just remember to keep this entire paper in third person. It's tempting on the abstract to say, my essay is about, but that's first person. So remove that by saying, this essay researches the idea of, you know, things like that. So just remember that the abstract has to be written last because you have to have a completed paper in order to summarize it. So don't forget it though. So for page 2, it should be your abstract. Make sure you put the word abstract here and you center it and don't bold it. Leave it regular font like that. And then page 2 looks the same. It has the page number. But if you notice, that word running head only goes on page 1. That's an APA rule we have to follow. So get rid of running head after page 1 and keep just the actual title in all caps. So this part stays the same. Again, that APA video that I provided on Blackboard explains how to correctly format this so that it follows that structure that I'm asking. The abstract is roughly 150, 200 words, around that range. If I highlight this, I would maybe add a few more words. Mine's at 131. You don't want it longer than half a page. All right, so that's the abstract. And then don't start your paper right after it. Only the abstract goes on page 2. So leave all of this blank like I have here. So then your actual introduction, your paper starts on page 3, and the rest of the pages are going to be formatted like this with the page number and the title in all caps like that. So you're going to need section headings in this paper. It's a formal research essay, so we want section headings. So I have this as a guide to help you picture it a little bit more. But your first heading is the introduction. So whatever the title of your paper, instead of saying introduction, put the title, the full title, the one that you put right here at the start of page 3. So this is the title of your paper. That's your introduction. So I have this just to remind you, but get rid of, you don't need to put this little technical stuff there. So this is how yours would look like that, whatever your title is. APA rule as well is only capitalize, well, the first word, of course, and words that are 4 letters or longer, or any proper nouns. So just that's another APA rule. And then don't bold this introduction heading. Keep it like that, exactly. All right. So for your introduction, I have these bullet points to help you write it. The introduction is quick. It's not too lengthy because the main part of your paper are these 2 viewpoints that you're writing about. So the introduction is a paragraph at least, 5 sentences or more. The introduction provides that kind of background information and context that you're already used to. What is your topic? What is a brief little history of it? What's going on, you know, what's the debate around it if it's more of a pro-con type issue? Just what's the overall topic? What is it about? What are you writing about? And with a thesis. The thesis is the answer to your research question. So the past few weeks I've been having you all brainstorm a research question and choosing one universal research question. The reason why is because the research question is helping you find sources, but the research question is also being turned into your thesis as well. So for example, for this topic that I'm showing you in this tutorial, my research question was, should people without children be banned from theme parks? Okay. So my thesis would be the answer to this question. The thesis would be the answer to your question in your paper. So this is my answer. This sentence would go at the end of my introduction so that the audience knows what 2 viewpoints I'm going to talk about. So your thesis would most likely, it helps if you do this, I strongly recommend you do this, it helps keep your paper organized, is that you answer your research question with the 2 viewpoints you're focusing on. So mine is, theme parks strive on happiness for everyone by opening their parks to the general public. However, some argue that this is an excuse for people not wanting to grow up. There was an opinion piece about people not wanting to grow up. That's why they go to theme parks. So I'm using that as inspiration, and that would be one of my sources actually if this was a real paper. Well, it's an opinion piece, so it's not the strongest. Like I said, this isn't the best research paper topic, but that's why I'm doing this, because I don't want to overstep on anybody's topic ideas. So this is just more to help you with format. But you can get a hint that I'm not arguing, right? I'm not saying yes, they should, or no, they shouldn't. I'm giving you that yes, no, which is what you want to do, or just the 2 viewpoints, because like I said, not everybody has a pro-con topic, and that's okay. Not everybody has a yes, no type of research paper. Just consider those 2 viewpoints that you brainstormed in those topic proposals. So my first viewpoint is going to talk about that theme parks are for everyone and why. And I wouldn't stop there. my second viewpoint is going to talk about those arguing that it's not good for people to go because they don't want to grow up. All right. The introduction should be longer than a paragraph, 5 sentences or more. So that's your introduction. Once you're done with the introduction, you need another viewpoint, or sorry, another section heading, so that your audience knows that they're done with the introduction, that you're moving on to the research part. You don't want no sources in the introduction either, by the way. So your second heading is whatever first viewpoint you are focusing on. So mine is about and you want to give it some kind of title. Give your heading a title. Don't just call it viewpoint 1. So let me get rid of this so you can visualize it a little better. Yours, and let's get rid of this, some kind of section title like I have right here. Theme parks strive on happiness for everyone. And this time you want to bold it like I have done here. It's just an APA rule that we have to follow. These are level headings and they're bolded after the introduction. Theme parks strive on happiness for everyone. A few paragraphs here that only discuss this point of view. So for my paper, I would only discuss why theme parks should be open to the general public. It doesn't matter if they have kids or not. You need at least two sources synthesized into this section. This is a few paragraphs, so it's not just one paragraph. It's this part of the report, the viewpoint 1 and 2, is the main point of your paper. It's where you're using your sources. So you want at least 2 sources in each section, and you want to synthesize them within the paragraph. So just make sure you understand synthesizing. If you have any questions about that, let me know. But a writer's reference, pages 451 through 456, and those are sections APA 4A through APA 4B in the ebook, show you how to cite correctly with in-text citations. Don't skip in-text citations, you all. That'll automatically give you a failing grade because it's research, it's a convention of the genre. You have to give credit to the sources. So I would find at least 2 sources that prove why theme parks should be for everyone. All right, so that's your next one. Let me just go back. Then you need another section heading. This is your heading 3 technically. That's going to talk about viewpoint number 2. Let me get rid of this so you can visualize it a little better. Make sure you center and bold it as well. Mine would be about my second viewpoint, those lost in their adolescence. It would talk about that argument that, you know what, people do need to grow up. A few paragraphs here that only discuss this point of view, at least 2 sources used here, you need 4 sources total in this paper. You can have more if you want, but the way I'm thinking it is 2 here and 2 here, but that's up to you, but you need at least 2. The reason you need at least 2 in both of these, so that's not too one-sided, that not just one source is talking about this viewpoint. And then, again, just use those writer's reference pages to correctly cite in APA in-text citations. All right? The audience shouldn't be able to know your opinion on the topic, especially if you have a kind of yes-no like I do. Like this topic is very yes-no, meaning, for example, I don't agree to this second viewpoint at all. I think that pretty much everyone, you know, I'm using that term loosely, but pretty much everyone should be allowed to a park. I don't think it's fair that people without children shouldn't be allowed at a park. I think that's a little ridiculous, you know. If somebody lost a child and they want to relive those memories, I don't think that's fair at all. But I have to give respect to the opposing side, to the different viewpoint in general. Again, whether your paper is pro-con or not, you're analyzing or researching 2 different viewpoints. You know, one viewpoint may be something that you don't really understand or you don't agree to, but you're writing about it so that you understand how to communicate with different ideas, and that's really important. How you use rhetoric ethically, I think, as well, and just logically, right? So the audience shouldn't be able to know your opinion, is what I'm trying to say. So that's the second viewpoint. And then your last heading in the report is the conclusion. You want to title it conclusion this time and bold it and center it. This sample topic isn't serious, but it's divided by opinion, meaning I can write about how these 2 viewpoints can come to an agreement in the conclusion. I can also offer my opinion. So if you feel like offering your opinion on your topic, you can in the conclusion. You can even go into first person point of view if you'd like to in the conclusion. You don't have to, though. You keep the whole paper in third person if that makes more sense to you. So because my topic is more divided by opinion, I can kind of say, you know what, I don't agree to this at all, and this is why I'm more in favor of viewpoint 1. So the conclusion really just depends on your topic. If it's pro, con, yes, no, you would do more like mine where you'll discuss how they can come to an agreement in the conclusion and offer your opinion if you'd like to as well. If your topic isn't pro, con, or isn't yes, no, some of y'all's, in fact, the majority of y'all's is, well, no, I think it's half and half. Some of you all is a little more yes, no. Some of you all are just looking at two different perspectives on your topic, and that's more than okay. This does not have to be a yes, no, but it can be. So consider these questions instead. What will the future of your topic be like? What do you think a few years, maybe a decade from now, a few decades from now even? I always think of technology with that topic. What will technology be like in the future? You know, something like that. But it just depends. Why is this topic interesting or important to learn about? And if you'd like to as well, what is your opinion on it? This is a really neat paper in that whether you're just looking at two different perspectives on something or you're doing a pro-con paper, either way, the conclusion brings it all together. So everybody's got really awesome topics with this paper, actually. I'm excited to dive into these. Very, very unique. Nobody has the same topic, so that's really awesome to me. This is really creative topics for this paper. And then your conclusion, wherever it ends, mine ends on page 3. I would hope that yours does not end on page 3. You have a lot to write about, so it wouldn't. But wherever your conclusion ends, go to one more page, new page, whatever that page is. It's page 4 for me. And don't forget the references. References are the point of reference, meaning when I see the author last name, year, and if it's a direct quote, the page or paragraph number in the in-text citations, I can jump to your reference page and find the full source information on those in-text citations that you're using. So I should see at least 4 sources here. Don't just copy paste links and that's it. You got to follow that APA format for references. I don't know why this is all the way over here. Let me bring that up. Oop. Don't copy and paste links and that's it. Format in APA and use these pages in a writer's reference to correctly format based on your source type. And you would actually title it references like this without the bold. So if you have it bolded, just remove it. And make sure it's centered references because there's more than one source that you're using. And alphabetize your sources when you list them here. Use something called the hanging indent format that'll organize the visual layout of the references. That same YouTube video that's explaining the title page also shows you how to do the hanging indent. If you have questions about the technicalities of it, just ask me. But this is the format of your paper, so everybody should have the same sections. Of course, different titles because everybody's topic is different, but the format of everybody's paper should be exactly like this. Time and time again, each semester actually, in the past, when students start this paper, they get their sections already ready to go, like this. They put the references on the next page. And they write the word abstract on page 2 so they don't forget it, so that they can go back when they check and write their abstract. It might help you to have all these sections like this, and that way you can just start, typing your paper, and it gives you that kind of informal outline of where you can, how you need to move on, and give you that visual layout to make sure that you have everything. Everybody has their own process that may not be helpful for you, but I've always asked students how they approach this paper, and they always say that this helps them. Or I shouldn't say they all. The majority who I've asked have said that they do it this way, and it helps. Look how visually nice. Look at that inverted pyramid. How funny. But that's just a little helpful tip. But happy researching.